What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bros Talking Soccer Podcast, episode 117. My name is Dave, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello.
Hello.
Did you miss me?
No.
Matt, hello. Did you miss me?
Hello. Yes, because now we don't have to set it up.
Oh, it's true.
There
yeah.
you go.
I did
Yeah.
miss it. Although I had to do that for weeks before that too. So
Yeah.
Well, because I had to make sure you were prepared for your debut, and you guys did a fantastical job. And great job, listeners. I know everybody missed me. I'm happy to be back, guys. Fiji was fantastic, but I'm happy to be back. Listeners, viewers, if you are joining us live on YouTube, hello. We're talking about soccer here. Please feel free to interact with us. We're live on YouTube. We're going to be talking about Champions League draw, VAR use at FA for the FA Cup. I'm going to talk a lot about what's going on in U.S. soccer. I'm sort of rebranding my section, so look forward to that. And yeah, anything else, guys? Christian, do you have a trivia question? I forgot to ask before we went live here.
I do. Let me find it. Hold on.
Okay. All right. Viewers of YouTube, this is what Marriott gives out in Fiji. This
You got a battle axe?
Yeah, you got I think it was called a neck breaker. Kristen's not sure that that's exactly what they called it, but it's obviously it's blunt on that side. This side actually is, you could probably do some damage with this side. I think the actual what this is modeled off of was made out of steel and is much more vicious. But yeah, Marriott gives these out, and like we were going through security getting back, and we had checked our bags, but like the people in front of us, security just like took a bunch of these because there's no way you can carry this on a plane. So that's that. That's my little sharing story here while Christian looks for the trivia question. Hopefully I've done a good job and Christian has found his trivia question.
I did, but I also found another picture while I was in there, and I want to share with the listeners because why not, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting times. So you know how they have escape rooms, right? You know, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So you know how they have the board game escape rooms that you like are just trying to escape, you know?
Yeah, I remember us trying to play that down at the shore, and mom and dad just quitting. Like,
they don't want to think, and so I mean, you know, teaches their own, but they're wrong. So me and my friend Brendan just did one recently, and we won. And I have the picture here to prove it, because you get like a little decoder countdown thing, and it like makes a white sound, like, you know, what is it? White noise sound? White noise?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
it makes a white sound. Yep.
It makes a white sound. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we won with 1 second remaining. It was like really the craziest thing that's ever happened.
All right.
It was so exciting. Like it felt like a movie. Like it was crazy. It was like, oh my god. And like I was like, I'm confident that this is gonna work. And so the way it works is you put the keys in, and if you have the right combination of keys, it says good job. So I was like, well, it can't hurt because whatever at this point. So I was like, boom, 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 boom. And it stopped. And there's just no sound. And I was like, let's fucking go.
Oh, very nice. You're going to have to, so send us that picture or tweet out from Bros Talking Soccer, because I don't think it came through for the viewers on YouTube. You couldn't really see the time, but I believe you, and that is a fantastic story. Matt, do you have anything fun to share before we go live here?
Men in Blazers just tweeted a photo of Sorry with a cigarette in the 12th minute. Right
so that's how Chelsea's going right now. Yeah. All right, cool. This is a soccer podcast, and we are, I think, ready to get things going. Guys, you ready?
Ready.
Yep.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Bros Talking Soccer Podcast, episode 117. My name is Dave Knittel, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello. How are you doing today?
Hello, David. I'm doing just dandy. Liverpool did win. They did not look great against Fulham, but they got the win after some questionable goalkeeping from Sergio Rico to just take down Mane in the box when there was really no danger. So, yeah, I'm feeling good, though. We got the 3 points, and we are top of the table, even though we've played a game more.
Nice. How are you feeling about the Union later today?
Well, I'll be watching it with a group of 3 of my friends, and, you know, I'm hoping the group's support helps them because they really need as much help as they can get at the moment.
Fair enough. Matthew, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thank you for asking. I'm excited. City went through to the semifinals. The quadruple hopes are still alive, even though Liverpool did just go ahead, as Christian said, in the Premier League. So City, it's looking good for them. Had some controversial calls yesterday, but you know, it happens.
All right, you all set to move to Houston this week?
Oh yeah, yeah. I am set to move. I moved Tuesday, so that should be a lot of fun.
Okay, all right. There you go. Good luck with
David.
Yes, Christian.
I want to ask about your hat. Is that a sticker on the hat, or is that actually
no? So it's a Penn State hat. It's all black. Logo's black, and so they put the blue paw print to, I think, add a pop of color.
Why are you wearing pants?
But they don't need to know that. They can only see the top half of me. Thanks, hon. Yeah, about half the podcast, just for anyone who's curious. Actually, I would say the vast majority of the podcast, I am not wearing pants. So yeah, there you go. There's a little peek behind the curtain, guys. How does that make you feel?
You wear socks.
Usually wear socks and slippers. Currently, I am not wearing socks. I'm just wearing slippers. But usually I'm wearing socks and slippers because I stand the whole time. Guys, Fiji was fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. You know, I had a great time. Shared a couple of photos from our account. Went home with a battle axe that I was talking about earlier. YouTube viewers. So if you're just listening to the podcast, check out our YouTube stream. You can see what the Marriott gives out to guests there. But overall, fantastic experience. Highly recommend if anyone can get there. Go. It was incredible. Christian, do you have our trivia question for this week?
David, I do have a trivia question. So, between 1992 and 2013 in the Premier League, Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge of Manchester United. They are historically known for scoring those late goals under him in injury time called Fergie time. However, there are 4 teams that have as many or more goals during that time, which is really surprising. Can you name them in order?
In the Premier League?
In the Premier League.
Okay. All right. So that's helpful as well. All right. I like that question. So we will think on that. Listeners, you will think as well. And we'll give our guesses at the end. With that, Matt, over to you for Matt's Megs here.
Thank you, David. Welcome everyone to Matt's Megs. Today we will be discussing Champions League. I'm thinking of which way I want to do this. I think we're gonna do just the draw that just happened. So, and kind of touch on, you know, how they got there a little bit. So the first one was Barcelona and no, I lied. No. I didn't want to do that. That's the bottom. I was thinking top, bottom. So the first one was Juve.
Top, bottom.
So first one was Juventus versus Ajax. So Juventus, they both had, you know, those big second leg wins. Both were Juventus was home for theirs and
Ajax was away.
Yeah, but they both had those second leg comebacks, both very emotional victories. Both pretty much everyone, not everyone, but they were really counted out not favorites at all for, you know, to go through after, you know, what happened in the first leg. So both coming off that emotional ride. Dave, I'll start with you. Who do you expect to go through?
So I expect Juventus to go through. Yeah, I mean, I would expect Juventus to go through in that matchup. Matt, I got to be honest with you. You were meandering a little bit, so I wasn't completely listening. And so what were you just talking about, Ajax versus Juventus, or was there another matchup? Yeah. Okay. So Juve, yeah, I mean, it's tough to bet against them. They have so much experience in this competition. They have one of the oldest squads, but they still have a ton of great players. It's tough to bet against Cristiano Ronaldo in this competition. Having said all that, it would be amazing if Ajax can get through, and it's tough to doubt them because they've come through against Real Madrid, who's a little bit of a mess right now. But, you know, I expect Juventus to get through kind of comfortably in this matchup.
Yeah, Christian?
I think it's going to be closer than people think. Once you get to this stage of the competition, you don't really see blowouts. All these teams are extremely talented. Juventus are clearly the more talented team overall, and I expect them to get through. But Ajax will challenge them. They've got a couple of really, really highly touted players. De Jong going to Barcelona, De Ligt being rumored to every single big team in Europe at this point. Mm-hmm. I think that they will challenge. I don't think that De Ligt is experienced enough to really handle Ronaldo at this point and the Juventus front line. But they have a lot of talent. Tadic is very, very talented as well on the Ajax. I guess he's the wing, right?
Yeah.
And Ziyech
10?
also.
He's the 10.
Okay.
I think he plays a little bit more centrally for them.
Yeah, Ziyech is also on the wing, and he's very, very talented. They have the weapons to cause problems, especially on the counterattack, because you expect Juventus to really take the game to them. it'll be interesting because Ajax are very comfortable on the ball, and the way they played at the Bernabeu just proves, okay, they really can compete with the best. Still expecting Juventus to get through, but it will be much closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I think Juventus should go through, which we all agree with, but it will be close. Like you said, there's not many blowouts in the quarterfinals, but I think Juventus just has way too much experience, and their top talent. I know Ajax has great; they're very talented with their star players too, but I think it's just different levels and consistency and things like that. So I think Juventus should go through probably by 2 goals on aggregate. I think it should be a little bit comfortable for them. So Liverpool next game, they went through.
Do you not want to stay on the same side, but like they can run into each other in the semifinals?
What do you mean?
These two are the semifinals. These two are the semifinals.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, they changed it this year.
Somebody told me that, and I was like, that's wrong.
They changed it this year. I told them it was wrong too, and then I looked it up and they changed it.
So City would have to play Juve or Ajax.
Yes.
Interesting.
Or Spurs.
No. So we'll talk about City, Tottenham next instead of the Liverpool matchup. So City, after their first leg where things seem to be going wrong, horribly, horribly wrong. They're down to 10 men, down 2-1 away. And then we just decided, or no, we didn't decide. We realized we were playing Schalke, and we're like, all right, let's just win this. 1 on the road, down a man, 3-2. And then it was an uphill battle for Schalke to go to the Etihad and have to either win by 2 or put up 4 goals. So it was just horrible to see.
More just looked like
how they
battle.
melted down after the first goal, after the first penalty. So City kind of cruised their way into the quarterfinal. Tottenham, they hammered Dortmund with that huge opening leg, 3-0 win at home, and then going to Dortmund and hanging on to somehow win that game. It seemed like Dortmund could have a chance to come back through the first half, and then when they didn't score, things just started falling apart. Christian, let's start with you. What do you expect from this fixture?
This fixture is clearly favoring City. I think it's going to be close again because they're English teams. They've seen each other a lot of times. They play each other 3 times in 11 days because they meet in the league also during this period. I don't expect City to win all 3, but I think they will win at least 2 of them. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the first leg. The first leg is at Wembley. Tottenham aren't they're obviously very, very talented, but at home it doesn't really feel like that huge of an advantage for them, even though they have 90,000 seats in there. I don't think every game sells out for them.
No,
yeah,
it definitely doesn't.
It's like 60.
But for the Champions League, you never know. They might open it up more because City fans will also be there. It really won't feel that big of a home advantage, but I still expect it to be very close. I expect it to almost be a draw in that first.
They are opening the new stadium.
But they won't. No, they're not playing here. It was just announced that they will be playing the Champions League game at Wembley.
So how many times are they going to freaking change the news?
They're not going to play there this year.
Together.
They're not going to play. But yeah, the first leg I expect a draw and probably a goal scoring draw where City has the advantage because they'll have the away goal and City will cruise through at the home leg.
Dave?
I would agree with that. I don't know if City will cruise through at the home leg, but I expect it to go about as Christian would say. While we do this, I try to take notes for future reference, and I just spelled together just so wrong it's not even funny because I'm trying to think while typing. I put get together, and I just everything is just way off there. But yeah, no, I expect City to get through. I think it's going to be very close for all the reasons Christian highlighted, and I don't really have too much else to add to that. I think it'll be close at Wembley, and I think it'll be close at City too. And if Tottenham has everybody back healthy, I assume Dele Alli will be back. If Kane can stay healthy, I mean, they have a squad that can rival City, at least at the top line. Not saying that they're going to be favorites, but they can definitely hang with them. And then, we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the best scenarios for City with this draw. I think they match up pretty well against Tottenham. I don't want to say we're gonna blow them out, but I think we should win by another comfortable margin, maybe like 2 goals, especially going into the Etihad twice back to back for that league and the second leg of the Champions League. So I think how well City plays there, it's just gonna be tough for them. Yeah, so I'm gonna say 3-1 on that. No, I'm gonna say 4-2 on aggregate for this one. Do you guys want to add anything else on this?
Nope.
Next, Liverpool and FC Porto. So Liverpool, they won second leg in Munich, 3-1 after going level back into the Allianz, and then pretty much handled Munich. They seemed pretty comfortable for most of the game. Did what they needed to do, deserve to be where they are. And Porto, they had a great fixture with Roma, where very competitive all the way through to the extra time in the second leg, and Porto ended up going through. Dave, what do you expect of this fixture?
Similar to the Juve-Ajax matchup, I expect Liverpool to be the favorites in this, but at this point in the competition, Porto has earned their place here, and it's not just going to be a pushover. Liverpool has looked, they're getting results, but they've looked somewhat shaky in recent weeks, just as the Premier League title race sort of weighs on them just ever so slightly. And so I don't expect them to run away with this matchup, but Liverpool should be the heavy favorites in this.
Christian.
Yeah, I think Liverpool are the favorites in this. And the first leg being at home, honestly, I prefer the first legs at home, because if you get a clean sheet at home and win, you really are in the driving seat completely. And I know having that home leg in Anfield is crazy on those types of comeback nights, but still, I prefer, honestly, with our defense, we'll have most of our team back at that point. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita, Henderson, and Gomez are all supposed to be back after this international break, which is crazy that we're getting all of them back at once. But I still think that at home, we're going to be facing pressure from Porto. I think they will be sitting deep, and they have a lot of pace on the counterattack. But still, I see Liverpool winning probably by 2 or 3 in that first leg. And it's the same as last year. They met in the round of 16 last year, right? And Liverpool just blew them away in that first leg in Portugal, winning 5-0. I don't think it's going to be like that again, but I see it being a little bit comfortable after the first leg, and Porto to put a fight in the second leg, but it might be too late at that point.
Yeah, so I was thinking about what happened last year and how Liverpool kind of just tore them apart. But I don't really know what moves Porto made. I know Pepe is there now, but other than that, like, have they signed anyone to really change them, turn them around? Not that I could think of. Yeah. So I think Liverpool is going to be, pretty heavily favored. And I think it would be, shocking to see Porto go through, all around the world. So Liverpool, I think, is going to be another. We keep saying these are going to be close matchups, and then have said none of them will be close at the end. Like, they're winning by couples of goals.
The games are going to.
I think it'll be closer than what people think. I think everybody is saying, "Oh, there's no way Liverpool could lose this. There's no way Juve is not getting through." There are scenarios where the opposite could be true, and there are scenarios where the matches are closer over 2 legs than what people think. I think that's more what we're saying.
All right. And now that I'm thinking about this, I think it seems like the top 4 teams in the world are probably going to get through. Maybe
top
PSG,
4 were all separate.
Probably PSG would be that 5th, but with injuries and what we'll talk about next, unfortunate, unlucky, but yeah, Liverpool, I expect to go through. So anything you guys want to add?
Nope, I'm good.
So lastly, FC Barcelona playing Manchester United. Barcelona, so thank God they won, because that way I did not have to eat a chew, which, sober now, stupid things come out from my mouth when I'm sober. Yeah. So,
stupid things come out of your mouth when you're sober.
Yes. So,
interesting.
Trying to get better at that. They tied 0-0 away, I'm pretty sure, in the first leg, and they went home and won by like 5-1 or 5-4-1 or something like that to Lyon.
They won 5-1.
So that was handled pretty easily after a shaky start. And United, with that great comeback against PSG, a very injured PSG squad, and was shocked to lose by 2 at home to a bunch of teenagers on United. So it was great without Pogba. It was very impressive performance from United. I will give them that. I will start with Christian because I am not going first. Christian, what do you think of this match?
Well, I'd like to highlight the fact that Barcelona really did not comfortably get through that last game. Until the 78th minute, Lyon just needed 1 goal to steal a result and to get through. And at the end of the game, obviously, one just goal completely broke them. Messi scored and then just took over the game, and Lyon just were wide open because they had to throw numbers forward. But it really wasn't that comfortable for them. And they don't really look that dominant side that they've looked in the past. So I don't know how, this tie might be closer than a lot of people think. I think Barcelona are clearly the better team just because of who they have in that one person. I can never remember his name, Lionel Messi is just the best player that we've ever seen, in my opinion. I think that most people see that at this moment. And he will make the difference, and I only see a 1 goal probably on aggregate making the difference in this game. But, I mean, he had 2 goals and 2 assists when it mattered most in this second leg. He is a freak of nature. Manchester United, very good for them that they got through. We have 4 English teams in the quarterfinals since 2009, and that's just insane. And I think realistically you could see 3 of them in the semifinals. I don't think that'll be the case. I think we're going to see 2 between Man City and Liverpool. I think Barcelona do get through. You get to see 4 different, probably the top 4 teams, all possibly getting through and having a semifinal that really would be interesting to watch.
David.
Yeah, as good as United has looked under Solskjaer, bouncing back from the mess that was Jose Mourinho's time in charge, they against PSG, I think they were fortunate to get through. Now, they were in the match, I think more or less because PSG shot themselves in the foot twice and PSG just wasn't finishing their chances. Now, having said all of that, I mean, they're in the quarterfinals. Anything can happen at this point. But again, I expect Barcelona to get through here comfortably. I know Barcelona has not looked as dominant as they have in the past. They're still trying to figure out a lot of their it seems like a transitional period with some of the players sort of aging out. Coutinho's still not completely integrated into this squad. And so, there is some question marks there. But again, I'm expecting Barcelona to get through here a little bit more comfortably than I think maybe other people are expecting. So a little bit of the inverse of what we've talked about elsewhere.
Nice. I am going to go the opposite of Dave, and I think United will go through.
Oh,
yeah, and this is the shocker, and I think it would be so exciting to have, Liverpool, United in the semifinals, and then City if one of them go through, because then it's either City playing Liverpool, which are probably definitely the 2 best teams in England, or keep the title of Manchester, and it'll be Manchester Derby for the Champions League final, assuming City beats Juve. But I will say, if Barcelona were to go through, it would be cool if City lost to Juve or Messi Ronaldo final or an English final. But hopefully it's not one of each. So for all of our sakes.
Yeah. So wait, so you said a lot of stuff of what for the narrative that would be awesome. What do you actually expect to happen? Do you expect those things to happen?
So we're living in a simulation. So yeah. So the narrative is all that matters. Yeah.
We already know what's happening.
So United's going to go through for the narrative. They shouldn't go through, but I'm just saying, with their form and, the luck they just had and kind of the spirit of the team right now, I can see them being a less talented team and going through, considering Barcelona's not necessarily been being Barcelona right now.
Yeah, but then again, you look at Manchester United, who gets all the calls always, all the time, but then they're coming up against the Barcelona team that also gets that all the time. So it'll be interesting to see who do the refs love in this match.
Christian loves a good conspiracy theory.
Very nice. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to add?
No, I'm expecting City versus Liverpool in the final. That's what I'm saying at this moment now.
City versus Liverpool. Dave, pick your final right now. Now.
Juve, and I don't remember how the brackets are working. So I'm going to say
Liverpool or Barca or the other
or who they're playing.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll say City. Sorry. Then I'll say City and Barca.
Oh, very nice. I think that's going to conclude Matt's Megs. Thank you for joining me. Listen to a little bit of music, and we'll be right back.
Did you give a prediction for the final?
Nope.
No. Oh.
That's fine. It's fine. No worries. Also, I've had this hat. This has been bothering me. I've had this hat for like years and years. Is this the first time you're noticing that it looks this way, Christian?
Yeah. Man City first Man U final. Book it.
Oh wow, that's awful.
Okay, do you want to do a stadium scene plug?
No.
I love how you guys just couldn't remember FNX network.
No, we just don't listen to what you say. We would say, hey, check out FNX.network.
I literally send it every email. I include it in case you guys wanted to do it. Now in the Google Drive, it's all in the Google Drive now. So you guys don't have excuses moving forward. And Matt,
I could make one. The internet was down in the world. Like there was nowhere I could go. All right, so I'm ready. Check out our partners over at Stadium Scene. If you're going to any stadium for any sport in the US or Canada, they have information on what to do in the area, where to park, what to do at the stadium, what events are happening in the area, what bars and restaurants to go to, all that good stuff. So check them out at stadiumscene.tv.
Yes. They also partner with content creators like ourselves and offer you things like podcasts, blog posts, and YouTube videos. And again, it's North America and not just soccer. It's all sports, US and Canada. So we're going to check them out at stadiumscene.tv.
Good stuff.
Forgot for a second.
No worries. Christian, whenever you're ready for Christian's Corner, I'll go ahead and start the timer and then we'll jump into it. You get a first timer over here.
Okay, I'm ready. Welcome to Christian's Corner, the middle section for the middle brother. You know, it's just how it go. I'm going to start with the FA Cup, and we're going to review that a little bit. Specifically, not anything else. Manchester City versus Swansea City. So Swansea had the 2-0 lead in the first half. City ended up coming back and winning that game 3-2. But controversy alert, it's crazy. So VAR is accepted in the FA Cup, but only when you play at a Premier League stadium. I think that's absolute bullshit because Swansea have the capability and have everything set up in their stadium already for VAR. There's no reason they should not have used it yesterday, and that was the FA's excuse. Only Premier League teams are allowed to use it during this competition. If it's set up, it should be used because it was set up for them last year when they were in the Premier League. Matthew, if you're the Man City fan here, talk about, I guess, the moments, because there was a penalty and an offside decision that went in City's favor. And why do you think that they're not allowing it, even though it was set up for the Premier League?
Yeah, I was confused because I knew there was VAR, but I didn't realize it was the Premier League rule or at the stadium. So I was watching it, and I was just like confused because I had to watch it on my phone because ESPN Plus to watch the FA Cup, which
we have
pretty ridiculous,
right? You can watch on Xbox as well.
Yep. Yeah, but I wanted to watch on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was watching it through my phone, and it seemed like the penalty. I'll start with that. I think VAR wouldn't have even overturned it because he did get hit, even though it was so slight. You can't overturn it if there's like contact. I don't think it was a penalty, but because he called it, I don't think VAR could have done anything. The offsides, it was like that was so clear offsides. I was just like shocked that nobody really even cared about it. But the game was so ridiculous with like just the shots and the goal line clearances for Swansea. I was watching, I was like, there's no way this is actually happening. It was an unreal amount of, chances that were missed or saved. That it just seemed like right that City won, even though like the decisions, I don't know, like the 2 goals like were very controversial. The second 2.
All right, Dave, did you see any of the game or any of these moments?
No, because I was traveling. But I'll comment on the VAR aspect.
No, I don't need your comments. No, okay. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I mean, from that perspective, if that's the rule that they're only using it at Premier League stadiums, then it's tough to really get too upset because
but it was set up for the Premier League when they were in the league, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I understand that. Then you would have to make an exception for every team that used to be in the Premier League. Like I understand
but it exists there, so why wouldn't you use it?
Because they came up with the rule before the season, right? Everybody.
What? They made it last year when it first was going to be introduced.
Okay.
Like they set it up for teams that were in the Premier League. Okay. Now that they're not in it, they have the capability though. If they have the capability and it was set up for the Premier League when they were in it, going forward, they should always have it and it should always be used.
Okay, that's a fair take from your perspective. From my perspective,
that is the only logical way to accept it.
Okay, I understand why they just have a blanket sort of rule. It's only going to be used at Premier League. Now, so that's the rule. From my perspective, I think it should be used either everywhere or nowhere. It's really weird that it's only used in certain instances. And so from my perspective, I get that the rule is what it is. I understand that they don't want to make exceptions now when you're getting down between lower divisions if they were set up or whatnot. I think that adds too much confusion. But for me, it's like, why don't have VAR at all or have it everywhere? It's really weird to just only have it in certain matches, especially when it's a blind draw and you could be drawn lower division and that can give you either an advantage or a disadvantage. And you have certain matches taking place under different rules. And it just doesn't make sense to me from that perspective.
Okay, that makes sense. Matt, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I understand what they say, like have it just all or nothing, but because they have it in the Premier League stadiums already, it's like it makes sense to use it because eventually they will use it, and it's basically just a trial, and like eventually it's going to be used pretty much everywhere. I assume. So I'm fine with the rule right now, but because it's so early on, there's just going to be problems with it, but it'll be fixed.
Okay.
Trial and error.
Makes sense.
What are you smiling at, Christian?
So when he said, when you have it, it made me think of Arrested Development when they're talking about selling the house. And every 2 seconds, they're like, oh, well, we have this. And, in the future, you might not need it, but that way you have it. And, It's just so funny. It's just they keep saying it over and over again. So all I could think of was, well, that way you have it. So maybe they should just put it everywhere. Put VAR in every stadium in England. Just everywhere in England. Everything should be recorded at all times. Just, there you go. And that way you have it. All right, so that's my thoughts on that. Anybody else?
Nah.
Nope.
Okay. That was a joke for all you people who don't understand my satire and sarcasm. All right, so moving on here. We'll talk about Paul Scholes for just a second here. It looks like Dave may be frozen. Okay, He's not anymore. He was for a second. All right, so Paul Scholes at Oldham Athletic for 31 days. Won 1 game in 7 matches that he was in charge. And he retired on his own. I don't think he was forced out. What do you think about managers doing this? We've seen it with Gary Neville now, a former player from Manchester United who went overseas for that instance. This time we went to a lower level team. I don't know why I said we, but he did.
You're a huge United and Paul Scholes fan, so that's why you said we.
Yeah, no. Dave, I'll start with you here. What do you think about these former players who are now managers coming into these jobs really short term, not doing well? Like, what do you think is wrong or what needs to change?
I think the Scholes situation so I'm going to be honest, I read like a very little amount on Twitter about it. And so was I frozen at all there or no?
A little bit.
Okay. I read a very small amount about it on Twitter, and apparently the manager, or not manager, but the owner of Oldham is not the greatest. And so I think that played a role in Scholes' situation. Now, with the Gary Neville situation and some of the other instances where players take over and then they leave very, very short term, especially when he voluntarily left, I don't love that aspect of it. I think, if he made a commitment, he kind of has to stick it out, at least for the rest of the season. That's what I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, it almost seemed like he bailed because he didn't want to fail and get fired. But Matt, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too many opinions about this. I mean, I wish everyone the best, but
not everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought he would do well, but I don't know like the situation of what it was like in the locker room, what it was like with the ownership group, and how he kind of dealt with that. So if he's what 1-6, you said, or only won one of his 7. Yeah. For Paul Scholes, I'm sure that's very frustrating, considering his career. And it's probably just something he doesn't know how to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably just come out of retirement again, like he did as a player.
Yeah. So I don't really have any, I'm not blaming him for anything, but I think what they've said, if he did finish out the season, it would look better from, a public eye.
Yeah, how's he going to get his next job when he only lasted 31 days? I feel like that's really going to affect his ability to coach at a top-level team.
I find it interesting, I don't know. So Lampard, Zidane, Gerrard, were very dominant center midfielders and were, I feel a little bit more outspoken. Scholes always struck me as a guy who went about his business very quietly. And I don't know a ton about the internal locker rooms at United or anything like that, but I just feel like sometimes the more vocal leaders make better managers. And with Scholes just being so quiet and unassuming and just going about his business, I don't know how exactly that's going to translate into management. Now, he obviously has all of the respect. And I love the fact that as a player, the story, he came out of retirement, he went down and bought cheap boots from the local store rather than having United get a kit man to fit him out and all of that stuff. I love those aspects, but translating it to a manager and needing to, force his will onto players and communicate and all of that, I don't know how effective he's going to be from that front. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So in that regard, I've seen highlights. Obviously, I wasn't watching back in the day, but Pep Guardiola, I'm pretty sure, was a pretty quiet, just do your business midfielder and wasn't really outspoken. And he's probably become the best manager we've seen probably since Sir Alex. So
that's a good point.
And so I don't know if that's always the case, but he's also a psycho and just is really meticulous on every single thing. And I don't think you have that ability at Oldham Athletics. So I don't think Scholes obviously was in the same situation that Pep was at Barca, Bayern, and Manchester City. But
really?
I don't think, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to guess no. But I still think he should stick it out. I think this is going to really damage his image almost as a manager. And yeah, he's still one of the greatest center midfielders of his generation, especially in England. But he's got a lot of competition from Lampard and Gerrard, who have probably better positions right now and are sticking it out and doing much better than he could there.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to stunt his career, this move, necessarily. I mean, I don't think these higher clubs really care what he did at Oldham if he was going to be signing for Barcelona, like you said.
Well, Gary Neville hasn't had another job since.
Well, Gary Neville also, detonated a club.
Well, I think that's also by choice, too. Gary Neville, prefers TV. He said that.
Yeah. And so I think
probably because he failed so hard as a manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think it's tough coming in mid-season. Neville was in the same situation. Scholes is in the same situation. Coming in mid-season versus coming in before the season, I think, is a big factor in all of that. Matt, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't think Scholes will know. I was going to say Scholes will know all the players that are even on the field. They're not his guys. So even though you have so many less resources there than at these big clubs, he didn't even know the players. So I think it's just an unfair judgment to kind of say his career is over at this point.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. I don't think anybody was saying that.
Well, no, you were saying he might.
I think he's going to struggle to get another good job out of this. And yeah, I mean, he might get a League 2 or League 1 job, maybe a championship job, but he's really going to have to build himself and his image now again, instead of sticking it out to the end of the year. Maybe he gets them to whatever he saw his goal to be, and at least he could have made that case. Now he's leaving on his own will after 7 games. And yeah, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes of the club, but it does not look good from an outside perspective. Anybody else? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to do one more little topic that I just want to get your opinions on. So Ryan Babel, before the Liverpool game today, Ryan Babel did score. Just an itty bitty baby point that I'm making here. So Ryan Babel said he knows Van Dijk's weakness, and it's the only player in the Premier League that knows what it is. He ended up going on to score in the most ridiculous of ways. He clearly has figured it out. Just forced Van Dijk to head the ball back from 5 yards away and let Alisson miss it. That's clearly the option that every team should pursue, right? Like at this point, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about players making comments like this before games? Do you think it's good to almost make an intimidating presence, or is it almost riling the other team up to like really be negative and you're going to get killed?
So, yeah. So, I mean, I assume they played on the national team together and things like that. And they probably played together throughout their life. I mean, they're probably friends. What I'm just going to assume he's probably just messing with them and the media just to like say things. Like when you play like high school soccer, you play against your club friends, like you'd always want to win those games. Just like for bragging rights or things like that. So that was always like fun. So I don't think there's anything like serious about this. And I don't think either team necessarily believes whatever they're saying. Because the soccer is such a in the moment thing. Like it's not like you can game plan for certain things like perfectly. So I think it's just, some good banter.
Okay. Dave, what do you think about these comments?
Yeah, I think Matt said, I think it's just like kind of, good nature, just sort of fun. Now, some other comments, when players come out
and Pogba,
yeah, even though they're on the same team. But when there's other comments where you're almost serving as motivation for the other team, I've never completely understood that. Now, these players are in the media, they're constantly asked questions. So like you can understand why maybe something slips out or like I like when guys don't just give standard sort of stock answers and we actually hear a little bit of personality or hear what they're actually thinking. It's never fully made sense to me why you would want to motivate somebody else, but I love the fact that when players come out and say how they really feel. And so whether it's Troy Deeney saying Arsenal players don't have balls or something like that. I like comments like that, even though it might serve as motivation. It's what he actually thinks. So, more of that, please.
Okay. Makes sense, Matt.
It's funny, on FIFA, when you do career mode, you go to the press conference and you have like the choice to like praise the other team or unnerve them. And it's like, it's like things like that. It's like, why would I care about this in the press conference? Like, it has no effect on that game. And I think, FIFA does a good job of saying it has no effect on the game in real life.
Oh, there you go. Simulation of FIFA really just explains the way the world works in the soccer. It all comes together. It all just leads back to EA Sports, FIFA, and that's just what it is. All right. Anybody else have anything else to add on this topic or anything else we discussed here?
Nah.
Nope.
No? Okay. Well, thanks for stopping at Christian's Corner. I'll be back during Dave's section and after to give our trivia question answer. David, it'll be over to you for Dave's Dive right after this music.
Wait, is it still Dave's Dive?
Dave's Domestic Dive.
Oh.
Ugh.
Alliteration. Alliteration is the joy to life. It's the key to life. Right, hon? Who said that? James Joyce?
I think that was Jane Austen.
Nicholas Sparks.
What's up, everybody? Wanted to give a quick plug for our partner, FNX.network. FNX.network is a website you want to check out for all different kinds of awesome content. They have sports content on there, but they also have entertainment, video games, lifestyle, tech, and more. Tons of awesome stuff over on FNX.network. Go check them out today. Boom. FNX.network. Plug. What's that?
Also.
Sha-la-la-la.
Shabalala.
Shabalala. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dave's Domestic Dive. Little bit of clarity added to my section. We're just going to be talking about what's happening kind of in U.S. soccer, mostly moving forward in this section. So get excited. Alliteration is always fun. First up, over 100 clubs, lower divisions in the U.S., wrote a letter to U.S. Soccer's president, Carlos Cordero. They also sent the letter to Gianni Infantino for the FIFA meeting that took place in Miami this week, calling for the U.S. to evaluate implementing promotion and relegation. Christian, what do you make of the lower division clubs taking this tactic to sort of force a promotion and relegation system?
Oh, they're little sneakers. Being sneaky. I think that they clearly want this to happen because they have a chance to grow and get to the first division, and it makes sense that they'd want this monetarily, in my opinion, and just to get noticed. But it's just not gonna happen that way. It's not gonna happen that way, and it doesn't really make any sense to kind of go behind MLS and US Soccer to force their way through FIFA.
Why not? If it's not, I don't think MLS or US Soccer is really going to force it if they don't try to go this route, right? Like how else?
I don't think that FIFA is going to be able to force this route either, right?
Well, it's a FIFA
That's
rule.
how you drive them.
Oh, true.
Well, so technically, I want to say it's Article 9. I don't have the thing directly in front of me, but there's a statute in FIFA's regulations for domestic leagues, and I think it's Article 9. I could have it wrong, but it basically says the league needs to be based on sporting merit. Now, within that, there's a subpoint that MLS and US Soccer use where it calls out that or other metrics. So, there's a call out where you don't have to have promotion and relegation. Now, everybody that is a proponent of promotion and relegation cites this article as saying, all right, you need it. US Soccer's not complying with FIFA statutes, even though there is this sort of carve out. So that's just a little bit of clarity there, Christian.
The sport's definitely not popular enough to accept relegation right now in major areas. If Philly was to get relegated to the second division, soccer in Philly would just die. People would not go and watch the Union ever. And I don't think that it's ready. And I understand that they're going behind the scenes almost and going to FIFA directly saying, oh no, we need it. We need to make more money. We need to be popular too. We want a chance to make our way into the first division and really be televised and just get better and better. But no, no, not right now. You don't.
Okay, so all right, I want to come back to that, but we haven't gotten Matt's thoughts here. Matt, what do you think about these clubs and their tactic of sending this letter?
I think it makes sense for them because, like you said, it's pretty hard. Like MLS and US Soccer is going to kind of write them off because we keep having this issue come up and nothing ever really comes of it. So I think going to FIFA makes sense. The entire governing body. Because it's used pretty much everywhere else in the world, to my knowledge, it should kind of be considered. But before that can happen, we really need to develop our, just like the fan bases and the lower leagues to actually make money from them and support the players and support the clubs. So I think we're still a couple of years from that, but I think because they sent this letter, if we start investing more in the USL and the lower divisions, it could happen faster than we think.
Christian, to your point about if Philadelphia went down, the club would collapse. I mean, so that basically says that they haven't done enough from a business perspective. They haven't done enough to ingratiate themselves into the community, so they don't deserve to have that. What's your response to that?
Other countries don't have the same number of sports that are this big that other people can just turn away from and be like, oh, never mind, I'll just go watch football, I'll just go watch basketball. That just doesn't happen. And in these major cities, they have every single sport, so you just will be forgotten about. And has nothing to do, well, I mean, it obviously has something to do with what's happened in the marketing department and really growing in the area, but soccer is the fifth most probably popular sport in the country, and it will be forgotten about if it's no longer there at the professional level, at the top professional level.
I don't know if it'll be forgotten about because, I don't know if it'll necessarily be forgotten about, but it will make things more challenging, especially as, it seems like a lot of the teams that struggle tend to be in major markets. Now, I'm specifically thinking like Chicago, Philly, DC has finally gotten their act together. They're putting together a good squad. New York has turned things around as well. But like New England, which is the Boston area, the LA Galaxy over the last few years have looked a mess. They seem to have turned things around at least a little bit this year. if those teams were to get relegated, I understand from a sporting perspective that, all right, they haven't earned their place in the division, but from an MLS like business perspective, losing out on those markets and that TV revenue, it's just, I don't know if MLS is at a point right now from a business perspective that they can sustain a lot of these major media markets leaving the league and being relegated. And so for me, I still think we still need to build out the foundations, build out USL, build out the lower levels. USL just announced an academy system. Like that's only just happening right now. I know some of the teams, you know, have academy teams and have been playing for a while, but there still needs to be a building out of the infrastructure, building out of stadiums, a building out of academies and training centers and all of that before we can really sort of approach pro rel. And that's my argument. Not against, but just for pumping the brakes a little bit on pro rel. I just don't know if we're there yet. And I know a lot of people cite, I think it was over 200 teams have folded since I think Major League Soccer started at the lower divisions because they can't get to the top level and the economics don't work out. And, you know, if a billionaire wanted to buy a third division club right now and just pump a ton of money into it, it would spur investment into the game. And I know pro rel advocates argue that that would fund the infrastructure investments, but I'm just not sure. I think a stable base of USL and MLS, which we finally have, allows investors to start pumping money into the game without the downside risk. And then from there, you know, we can sort of grow. So I don't know what the right answer is. I'm just somewhat cautious just because I don't want these leagues to fold. I don't want clubs to go away. And I think by having USL and MLS sort of continue to grow stably, you know, we can then institute something like pro rel in more years. Or like Matt said, who knows, maybe the growth happens a little bit quicker and this is the hand is forced even more so. But I'm just cautious about all of this. Matt, anything else to add here?
Yeah, about the union, I don't think soccer already had its following before the MLS team was here. So it's not like people are going to turn on soccer. They would turn on the union, which it seems like they basically already have in Philadelphia. So I'm saying, like, if there was pro rel and the union get relegated and people stop going, that means another team in Philly.
Yeah, the Fury.
Yeah. And, you know, have a stadium in the city or just actually be a city team. I think that could be better than, you know, having to solve this whole Chester mess.
No, that's a really good point. Similar situation with the Fire being out in the suburbs as well. You know, would it give rise to another club? I know we're all Union fans and I don't want to see that happen to the Union, but you know, I don't know. It's such an interesting time to be following the sport in this country. I say this all the time. So much is happening and so much of the building and infrastructure is taking place that it's a fantastic time to follow all of that. So if you're not already doing it, highly recommend just digging in more into US soccer and what's going on right now, because it is fascinating. Christian, anything else to add here?
Nope.
Okay. Next up, Jason Kreis. I don't think it's been officially announced, but I know The Athletic is reporting US Soccer is negotiating with him to take over as the new U23 men's coach, which is basically the Olympic team. Matthew, what do you think about Jason Kreis taking over the Olympics? He had success with Real Salt Lake, but sort of did very poorly at New York City and Orlando City. Is he the right fit for the US Olympic team?
So I don't know how he's integrated the youth at those places. Maybe he's good with the younger players and maybe not when they get to a certain age and certain, you know, star power, and, you know, doesn't know how to handle that. So I don't know if that was the reason. You know, things probably haven't gone so well recently, but it's so hard because the MLS is, every team is so even that you can't really blame the coaches for things that happen. A lot of it is just like bang, bang stuff. Well, okay, you can blame the coaches.
Yeah, I would think because it's so even, you might blame the coaches more.
That's what I would say, because it's on their tactics to win the games.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like, okay, I understand that. But everything is so close in the MLS. And if you understand U.S. soccer and like the development, then I think he could be the right man for the job. And, you know, they only get together, the U23s, so for those short periods of time, and the players are in and out with going, you know, to all the different age groups. You're going to have some U20s, you're going to have some senior level kids going in and out, filtering. So it's going to be interesting to see just how, if he can do it in such a tight window. So for me, I have no thoughts about this until you actually experience the national team, because it's so much different than any other form of coaching, especially at the U23s, because you only have like such a short window to do it. So I think I'm fine with the move until, you know, he proves otherwise.
But would it be better to have hired, because you said it right there, people that have national team experience are better. Would it have been better to hire another U.S. national team youth manager or someone with national team experience elsewhere, Matt?
I mean, probably at this point.
Fair enough. Christian, what do you think about the Jason Kreis hire or potential hire?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. I think that there are better options out there, and I can't really name any of them, but I don't think his experience is good enough right now. I think he's struggled at the last couple jobs that he's been in, and he hasn't been able to find the best solution and talent with the small pool that he has had at these teams. I don't know how well he's going to do with a larger pool. Like, yeah, he has more people to choose from to find somebody, but he hasn't been able to get it right with what he's had already. And I don't know how in the detail what the scouting team he's going to be using is. I don't have enough information about who he'd be using for that, but he just hasn't gotten it right at Orlando and New York City. So it's a little concerning what he would do with our U23 team, because we're at a point right now where the U.S. has a good, solid base for U23 and under, right? Like from 18 to 23 right now, we have a lot of players breaking through. And yeah, most of the top ones are playing for the full national team at this point, but we still need to be bringing through a lot of talent at that age. And I don't know if he specifically is going to be able to find the next level down, almost like right below the players that are ready to compete at the national level with the full men's team, and really incorporate them tactically to make a competitive team at the Olympics and going forward.
Yeah, so I have concerns just from the standpoint of the optics of him sort of failing at his last two jobs. If he would have joined right from Real Salt Lake when everything was, you know, fantastic for him, I think I would be a lot more excited about this. The fact that he is sort of flamed out at his last two jobs gives me concern here. And you know, I'm willing to give him a shot. He was one of the brightest young managers coming up. And, you know, New York City, that hire was widely praised when they first hired him. And, you know, maybe they brought the axe down too quickly on him and he didn't have enough time to sort of implement his ideals and, you know, trying to see, you know, the other side of things. I just have concerns about this hire if it actually happens. And so I think we have enough talent at that age group to push through, but you know, manager can have a large impact on things. And so I have some concerns there. Matthew, anything else to add?
Nah. Hopefully we can make the Olympics, though.
Yes. Christian?
Nope.
All right. Last thing I wanted to talk about here. U.S. women's national team sued the federation for equal pay. So this started back in, it's been going on for a long time. I want to say the lawsuit first started in 2017 when the women filed some sort of paperwork with some sort of labor organization to proceed with this lawsuit. Eventually that all came through. And so they ended up suing U.S. Soccer on, I think, International Women's Day is when it was announced, basically suing for equitable rights. So they didn't say equal pay specifically. And Becky Sauerbrunn, I believe, came out and had some quotes that said, you know, we understand there's differences between our contracts and all of that, but we want to be treated equitably. Christian, what do you make about the U.S. women's national team using this tactic? And what do you think about them, you know, potentially not having equitable rights and getting them?
Honestly, they make it further and are like a better team in their competition than the men's team are. And I think that they should be paid equitably. They deserve it. They make it far. They've made it to every single semifinal, right? Since the Women's World Cup has existed. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure of that.
Think so.
Yeah. And they've won 3 now, and they're going to be competitive again this year. They deserve that recognition. And it is mind boggling that we're in 2019 and it's still like after these major tournaments, the federation's not respectively giving them what they deserve.
Matt, what do you think about all this?
So, I mean, I haven't seen like all the finances and why they don't get paid the same. I don't know because like I know how much more success they have in these tournaments, but I don't know the money that brings in. I know they sell out almost equal, if not more, than the men's teams on national international breaks. So I think from like that perspective, like everything I know, it seemed like they should be paid fairly or equally, but I don't know the actual money that it brings in. And it seems like they understand that, or they know that there is different money breakdowns, and that's why they didn't originally say equal pay, just be treated equally. But that makes perfect sense. That they should be treated equally. They're the national stars. They should get like the same treatment on international break from whatever the living conditions, the food, the per diems, and things like that. Maybe so. Like I think that should be equal, but I don't know the actual money breakdown of it.
Yeah, and I want to say they move more merch too than the men as well. For me, what's really weird about all of this, I want to say Norway came out and said that they're paying the men and women exactly equal on equal terms. For the women's national team, they negotiate a completely different agreement than the men do. The men operate with strictly bonus pay. When you're called into camp, you get a bonus. Every time you play, you get bonus structure and all of that. With the women, they actually receive salaries. They receive maternity leave. They receive all these additional benefits, and they also have a requirement that they have more games than the men each year, so they have more opportunities for bonus pay and all of that. And previously, I think that they had played more games on turf. They had, worse travel conditions and all of that. And I want to say U.S. Soccer righted some of those wrongs and has been better, at least treating the men and women equally from an accommodations perspective. Because if that's still happening, that's completely inexcusable. Yeah. Like that should absolutely be treated the same. Anything that you can treat the same, I'm in complete agreement with. From the pay perspective, though, things just get really weird and complicated because the women negotiated this deal to have salaries, to have all of these things that, isn't just, it's tough to put a monetary value, on the security of getting a salary. Right. And it's tough to put, conceptualize, all right, getting, full insurance and full health benefits, whereas the men get that, more from their club teams and so on and so forth. And so for me, I think U.S. Soccer absolutely needs to be treating the players from the same perspective. From a travel and accommodations perspective, that's what I've already said. But from a straight pay perspective, it's tough to treat them exactly the same if the women still want like the salaries and still want all of that other stuff. If the women want equal pay, do they want it just, like the men, just here's the same bonus structure and all of that? Because if they get that, I mean, I think that would be fair and equitable to pay everybody exactly the same. I'm in complete agreement there. But if they still want this other structure, I don't know what the right way is to sort of pay them the same way when it's a completely different structure. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So a separate issue, or I don't know if it's an issue, but separate possible solution would be, what if they did like a revenue sharing based off of percentages of money they bring in? Because I was looking up, since 2011, there have been 2 times where the women have actually made more revenue in the year than the men. And I think it was the year after the World Cup, both times for the women. So those years, they make more money than the men. And depending if the men make more money in that year, that's how they split it up. Just based off of the percentages, that's how you find your bonus.
Is it tough in any way to differentiate? Like what if you just get a sponsorship of US Soccer, then that revenue would just be split 50-50 then, right? Yeah. So yeah, I guess it should be easy to break down from that perspective. And who knows, maybe that's right. I guess the only issue there would be FIFA, the organization, does not pay out for the women the same prize money as for the men. And so from that perspective, it's really...
That's not the U.S. Soccer Federation's fault. Like you take that money, that is specifically for the women in that competition, and for the men, that's for the men. That's how you split it. They went to that competition. That's just the prize money.
But that's not necessarily fair. If the women win the World Cup,
but FIFA is not U.S. Federation. Like that's a completely separate issue.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Kristen, I don't know if you're listening at all or have any thoughts on anything that I've said. I'm springing this on you right now. Were you listening in any way?
I was a little bit, but I don't have a formulated opinion.
Okay. All right. No formulated opinion. I should have prepared for this. Yeah. So that one's on me, hon. I'll accept that. All right. Love you. All right.
There's nobody else that it could be on.
Matt, anything else to add?
Nah.
All right, Kristen.
No.
Okay. Christian, before we get, we don't have listener questions this week because everything was kind of last minute with the travel. Go check out the Soccer Tavern YouTube channel. It's got videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. Christian, you want to recap our trivia question?
Yes. So between 1992 and 2013, when Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge of Manchester United, there was Fergie time, which was the 90th minute or after. Well, I guess it's after the 90th minute. So at a time, at the end of the game. There have been 4 teams during that time period that scored equal or more goals than Manchester United did. Can you list them in order?
Okay.
Wait, so and what time period?
From 92 to
No. I mean, like, of the game.
after 90th minute.
Oh, after the 90th minute.
So stoppage time.
Okay.
All right.
So, Dave, you want to go first or you want me?
Sure, I'll go. I'll try. So I'll say the teams and then whatever. I'll just say the teams. So Liverpool. I'll say Liverpool. I'll say maybe Aston Villa. Not United. Arsenal. And Everton.
All right. I'm going to go with Liverpool because this is a Christian trivia question, so Liverpool has to be first. Then I'm going to say Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea.
Newcastle's a good shout.
Okay. Well, you guys got them all, but not indifferently. So Liverpool was number 1, if you didn't know.
Oh,
so,
shocker.
they had 24 90 or more minute goals. The next most is 19, and that would be Arsenal. We're in second. Chelsea were third with 18, and Everton and Manchester United tied on 16 goals.
Newcastle was a good shout, Matt. I didn't think about them. That was who I was kind of thinking of, like Aston Villa.
14, and Aston Villa were below them with 12. And
all right.
Tottenham as well.
Cool.
And Wigan. Wow. And Wigan.
Whoa. All right. So there you have it, everybody. Hopefully you did better than Matt and I and got them all in the correct order. If you liked what you heard here, please consider leaving us a review on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. iTunes help the most, so please consider doing it there. It only takes a couple seconds, and that would be fantastic. Christian, can you tell people about our Slack channel?
Yes, if you want to join our Slack channel, which is an interactive interface, you can email us at bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com or tweet at us at BTSoccerPod, and we will get you involved. So what happens on Slack is you get to talk with people about a bunch of different topics, specifically in the soccer universe. We have a bunch of different top leagues. We have international soccer, transfer rumors, all that good stuff. International soccer again, because I said it twice, so why not? So everything. And then we have a general category as well that, talk about anything at all that you would like to talk about. Talk with us, everybody else who's involved already, and we'd love to have you in there. So check it out at Slack.
Yeah, Matt is extremely involved in that. So if you want to chat with Matt, definitely get on our Slack channel. Matt, can you just quickly remind people of our Twitter handle?
Yes, at BTSoccerPod.
And Christian already said our email, bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. Matt, what's our website?
brostalkingsoccer.com.
What can people do there?
They can read about us. They can find past episodes, links to our YouTube videos, things like that. Great stuff. There is the Amazon store link where there's no extra charge to you, but you go in, you buy your things through Amazon or on Amazon through that, and we get a small percentage, no extra additional charge to you. It just really helps us monetize the show. So we would greatly appreciate if you would do that.
Yeah, it helps us support the show. You just click to our store link, click the link to Amazon, and then whatever you end up purchasing, we get a small percentage, as Matt said. Christian, thank you.
David, I'm so glad you're back for your podcast. Now we don't have to run it anymore.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you for doing that. Matt, thank you.
Thanks for having me on your podcast, Dave.
Listeners, thank you so much for listening. We will be back with another episode. We're going to be interviewing Luke Gray, who's a social media manager at soccer.com this week. So look for that interview. I want to say Monday. I could have that wrong. No, it's Tuesday. I'll double check, but it'll be on the YouTube. It'll be out on Thursday. But if you want to follow on YouTube,
Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There you go. Christian's got it. Thank you, Christian, for keeping me straight there. And we'll be back with another interview episode if you're just listening to the podcast on Thursday. So look for that. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon. People on YouTube, thank you for being here.
Do
If
we
you're
have any
watching this. We had no YouTube comments. We had a bunch of viewers, not a bunch. We had a few viewers earlier, but they have since moved on, and it's just been us chatting for a while. Kristen, thank you so much for telling people that I'm not wearing pants and for partaking in the podcast.
I didn't really, but
You did. You did. All right. See you, everybody.